Hello viewers, this is Michael from 3 Views, bringing you a new podcast from my setup called The Super Sentai View. And like always, I'm going to speak very loudly, very clearly, and very slowly, in case you don't understand me. Also, I try to do my best not to breathe so hard during this audio podcast recording, during this audio podcast recording as well, not to cause any audio feedback as well. And finally, if you're under 18, this audio podcast recording will contain to adult language. Once again, if you're under 18, this audio podcast recording is if you're under 18, if you're under 18, so blah blah blah. Sorry. So anyway, if you're under 18, this audio podcast recording will contain to adult language. Now, if you're over 18, that means you get to watch this audio podcast recording. Now, anyway, before I begin on this, in case you guys are wondering what's that hissing noise in the background, that's just my radiator. So basically, just to let you guys know, if you hear some hissing sound in the background, that's just my radiator. So basically, the heat is on and the heat is on, so basically I do, if you hear some hissing sound, if you do hear a hissing sound in the background, that's just my radiator, what they're doing that hissing sound. But anyway, let's get to the latest episode of Kiramager. So basically, it starts like this. So basically, it starts like this. We see Jiro, in the park, in the park after school, doing some drawing, doing a drawing on his iPad. So basically, he just finished doing the drawing on his iPad, and he was checking out some artwork on his, was checking out other people's artwork on the internet on his iPad. So basically, he took a picture and he liked this dragon picture of a boy petting a dragon, and he contacted the artist on his iPad, to comment on her, like a drawing or whatnot, and the person responds to okay, maybe we can meet up, and Jill said okay. So basically, Jill had said to meet the artist of the dragon, of the picture of the boy and the dragon, that he saw on his iPad to meet up with him today. Anyway, meanwhile, back at the bad guys' headquarters, Carl wants to say that was telling Donna and Garza that he's been working on an experiment to turn people into mock-beast monsters by forcing, so basically he's working on an experiment to turn people into mock-beast monsters, to use people's negative, so basically, been working on ways to turn, it's working on the experiment to turn people into giant mock beast monsters. And that way they can have an endless source, they can have an endless source of the dark energy that they need to open the gate, and bring their forces through by turning humans into mock beast monsters. But Carl wants to say, it's my experiment that works, I can implement this, it's my experiment that works. But I'm worried about the Kirramagers, but I'm worried about the Kiramagers might interfere. So basically, with this Grandstone, with the power of the illusion Grandstone, and my new monster lieutenant named Wire, cause this marksman monster looks like had a head that looked like Bob Wire. Was going to use the Grandstone to keep the Kilmagers busy. Use the power of the illusion Grandstone to keep the Kilmagers busy while he while he finished his experiment on trying to turn a human that he chose into, he already picked a human that he's trying to turn into a mock beast monster. So basically, the marksman, the wire is gonna keep the Kiramager. It's gonna use the power of the losing redstone to keep the Kiramagers busy while Kiramager, finish his experiment. So anyway, Kiramager Jay wired the losing gladstone and told him to use it to keep the Kiramagers busy and whatnot. So anyway, a few hours later, we see Joe met up with someone in the park, and he saw the artist, and the artist that he contacted on the internet turned out he was a boy named Canal. So basically, the artist the artist that Joe contacted about the Dragon Ball picture, who he saw on the internet, turns out he was an artist named Canal. So basically, Joe and Canal started, share their artwork and whatnot, and share their artwork and whatnot, and start to hit off and become friends. Meanwhile, back at the Kiramager's home, back at headquarters, the other Kiramagers are him and Mayu were all eating lunch, I believe. So basically, they were all back at headquarters, having some eating food and whatnot. So anyway, the along with us and the Kiramagers went to go deal with the bad guys who were attacking the city. So basically, Wire told her that Wire was kidnapping people, and waited for the Kiramagers to show up. So basically, the Kiramagers showed up, except for Jewel. So basically, the other Kiramagers showed up, except for Jewel. So basically, Jewel didn't show up with the other Kiramagers. So basically, the other Kiramagers were fighting the foot soldiers, and once they done took out the foot soldiers, they went chasing after Wire. So Wire decided to impersonate. So Wire used the power of the losing Grandstone to impersonate Subaru. So basically, Wire's impersonation was impersonating Subaru in his Ranger form, and others thought that the real Subaru was the imposter, and they ended up attacking Subaru, and Wire managed to get away, and start his purpose and everything was going to plan to keep the Kiramagers busy. So basically, the Kiramagers are wondering since that marksman monster can transform into any of us. So basically, who's really who and who's not really who. So basically, the other Kiramagers was wondering that question. So basically, Wire was like, I got the Kiramagers are busy now. Me and Kiramager can carry out the experiment. Carry out the experiment to turn a human into a giant mock beast monster. So anyway, basically, we were back in the park with you back in the park with Joe and his new friend Canal that he made on the internet. Were hanging out. Canal was talking about, oh, I have another friend named named Hada. He's a manga artist. So basically, Kanata went took Jiro to his friend's house named Hada, who is a manga artist who does manga for a living, and hoping that his artwork will win a manga contest. That way his manga can get work, So basically, Kanai took Joe to his friend's house named Hada. He's a manga artist. So basically, he's entering a contest, hoping that his manga will get picked and win the contest. So anyway, basically Hada and Joe became good friends, and hanged out at Hada's house and whatnot, playing video games and shit like that. At Hada's house, Joe and Kanata were hanging out at his house and shit, whatnot, playing video games and shit like that. Becoming good friends. So anyway, meanwhile, back at Care headquarters, the other curators were still trying to figure out which one of them is the imposter. So basically, they ruled out that Shigeru is not, since Shigeru, they ruled out Shigeru not being the imposter, but everybody else was wondering, which of the other curators, which of the other curators are not, who is the imposter, who's the marksman monster posing as one of them. So basically, there's this, there's like, go around doing stupid things, trying to figure out who's really who and whatnot. So anyway, they did end up contacting you. They did end up, they do end up, contacting Jiru and telling about the whole marksman, imposter situation and whatnot. So basically, Jiru had to leave his new friends that he made, to go help with this, to help with the whole imposter marksman monster situation back at headquarters. So anyway. So basically, Joey went to go tell his new friend that he has to go, and he noticed that something was off about Hada. So but he had to go. So he had to go. But before he did, he said, "Hada, are you okay?" Because he noticed that he seemed kind of depressed, but Hada said, "No, don't worry, Joe, I'm okay." So anyway, and Joe went to Care headquarters, and he bumped into the real Mayu. So basically, Joe passed this manga store out came out the real Mayu. So basically, Joe showed up with the real Mayu, and after he saw him come out at this manga store. So basically that the Mayu at the headquarters is not the real Mayu. So basically, Joe showed up with the real Mayu, and the other characters assume that the fake Mayu is the Mark Beast monster in disguise. But it turns out it's just that substitution. It's just that substitution Kime stone doll that they use to make substitutions of the Turns out it's just that substitution doll that Mario used to do some work while he was at the manga shop, getting a autograph to one of his favorites, to one of his famous manga authors. So basically, Mario used the Kime substitution jobs to do some work while he was at the manga shop, getting autographs from one of his favorite manga artists. Meanwhile, Hada back at Hada's house, Hada was getting some bad emails, some negative emails, and some false information that he didn't win the contest, and people were talking about his artwork being bad. Turns out that Hada is the human that Tarantula is experiment on. Turns out that Hada is the human that Tarantula choose to turn into a mock beast monster. So basically, his method is to trigger his negative emotions, and that way he can transform into a mock beast monster. So basically, with the help of Wire, using who was posing as Kanata, so basically, that Wire used the power of the losing grandson to pose as Kanata, and it was able to turn Hada into a giant mock beast monster based off his negative emotions. So basically, Hada's with the help of Wire, posing as a young boy by the power of the losing grindstone, they was able to turn Hada, use Hada's negative emotion to make a giant mock beast monster based off Hada's negative emotion. So basically, once Hada negative emotion made a mock beast monster, Hada was stuck inside that monster that was created from his negative emotions. So basically, it's sort of like how the monsters from Real Soldier was created by people's negative emotions, and by a little help from the monster making bad guys from Weird Soldiers and shit like that. So anyway, the Kiramager showed up in the Kiramager Megazord and the Dirty Megazord and started to fight the mock beast monster that was created by Hada's negative emotion. And Jill recognized that this monster had artwork on its body that looked like Hada, and with the help of Zaboon, this confirmed that Hada was inside this mock beast monster, but they tried to destroy the monster while destroying Hada. So basically, they was able to get Hada out of the mock beast monster and destroy the mock beast monster. After once they got Hada out of his own mock beast monster, they was able to destroy the mock beast monster and save the city. So basically, Hada was okay, but Jill was pissed off that that they did this to his friend and whatnot. That his new friend was a guinea pig and he was scaring it. So basically, Jill will find Wire and it's like, I know that you not only that you fool me, you also use Hada for a evil experiment. So basically, Jill summoned the Kiramager arrow and was about to take down Wire, and that's when the drama showed up. And Wire thought that your brother, you came here to save me. So the drama said, do you have the losing grindstone? Yes. And the drama said, give it to me. So basically, Wire gave get your Donna the losing hand over the losing grandstone to your Donna, and your Donna say, "Oh, well, you know, like you're no longer used to for you're not so basically like tell him to so you're not you're not you know more used to for us and laugh and go to the left of the grandstone and you will use the Kiramager to destroy water and that was it. That was it. Anyway, so basically, Joey used the power of the Kim go arrow to destroy water, and that was it for that night. So anyway, so basically the next day, Jiro went back to Hatters' house, but turns out that Hatters' house was, went back to, was gone because the house was, Hatters' house was gone, it was down by the city and whatnot, and he had to leave. So basically, telling him that Hatters' house that he's living in got bulldozed down and whatnot. So basically, when Drew and some of the other Kiramager went to go check on him, his house was bulldozed down, according to the natives who lived in the area that the house was bulldozed down. Was bulldozed down, got bulldozed down today, and had moved out before the house got bulldozed down by the city. So basically, Joe didn't even get the opportunity to say goodbye to Hannah. So basically, when they passed out the manga shop, turned out that he saw that Hannah's artwork had won the contest. So basically, Hannah had ended up winning the manga art contest and got his manga art putless and whatnot. So basically, Drew was like, "Oh wow, good for you, Hannah," and he was happy that that Hannah's manga artwork got putless, won the contest and got putless. So basically, Drew was happy for Hannah that Hannah is gone, had laughed. At least he won the contest. At least he won the manga contest, and got his artwork published in a manga magazine. So basically, this episode ended up with Jiro happy that Hada's manga art got published in a manga magazine and the contest that he won. And this is how the episode ended with Jiro smiling at the other Kiramagers that Hada's artwork, manga artwork got published and whatnot. And this is how the episode ended. So anyway, this was a good episode. So basically, now the bad guys found another way to mark these monsters by using people's negative emotions to turn people into giant size mark these monsters. So basically, this was a good episode. So basically, the bad guys still had the fourth and final Grandstone in their possession. So basically, this was a good episode. So anyway, what do you guys feel about this episode? Was it good? Was it bad? Was it just okay? Or nah? Please let me know in the comments below this podcast. So anyway, like always, it's Sentai Michael from Screw You. Sign off. 1.